Good morning, everybody. Today is Wednesday, and oh, you know what? I put the wrong date on the title of this video. My apologies. Today is, maybe I did the right date. Today's the 18th. I don't even remember what I put on the title. it's, it's early yet, guys. Anyhow, yesterday was an interesting day. You know what? I started the day so strong, and I want to just talk about this for a second because I actually started out having a really excellent day. I hit three winners right in a row. I probably should have just stopped and enjoyed the rest of my day, but I got a little bit greedy, and um, and then I made an error. I got into a position accidentally too many contracts because it was a very fast moving kind of thing. It was a quick decision, and I accidentally had too many contracts selected, and it went right to my stop loss. I mean, blown right through, no chance to even kind of correct the error, and uh, and then that wiped out a lot of my gains. And then out of frustration, I took more trades, and then I basically went from having a really great winning day to having a losing day, and it was super frustrating. So I was kind of beating myself up over that yesterday because it really could have been a great trading day, and then just due to some errors, and then because of the mistake, it sort of caused me to lose control of my discipline. And, we all have losing days, but if I have a losing day, but I feel like I maintained control of myself throughout the day and I traded well, I don't mind a losing day. So yesterday, it's not that it was an exceptionally large losing day, but in the second half of my trading session, I didn't feel in control of myself. I didn't feel in control of my emotions, and I should have just walked away, you know. I just want to mention that it happens to all of us sometimes, but it's really important to recognize these things and then to come back at it. I don't want to come back at today being overly cautious. And I'll show you some other mistakes I made. I put some trades on last night, but I was feeling a little bit timid still from the day. Um, and so today's goal is really just to maintain discipline and to maintain control, win or lose. I need to walk away from today feeling like I traded really well. That's the only thing that's going to get, as a trader, that's going to get your head back in the right place, is to feel in control, right? It's that feeling of sort of agency, right? Because the psychological component of this is so crucial. Now, I want to just look at this real quick. This was a trade I put on right at the end of the day yesterday, basically in the aftermarket. I noticed price had come down and kind of touched this high volume node. I put the trade on right in here. Let me get this kind of out of the way. Put the trade on right in here, and when it moved up, I brought my stop up just under this level, so really just under break even. And again, that might have been a little bit too aggressive to move the stop. I should have maybe been watching this on a larger time frame chart and just kind of watched for a stronger reaction there. And so I ended up getting taken out, just a very, very tiny loss. No big deal there. Again, and part of it is I don't like having risk on after hours because I'm with my family, I'm with my kids, and I like to be fully present. And when I have risk on, I feel like I like have this sort of impulse to check the charts and stuff like that. So part of it's just that. Um, that's why I don't do that many swing trades unless it's something that I really like. And then, so this was one. And I kind of took this off the 5 minute chart. And then there was another one I took last night. So this one I took off the hourly chart on Bitcoin. This is the micro Bitcoin futures. You can see this tiny consolidation right here. And I'll show you the profile. So you can see this volume accumulation here. So I took the trade, and again, same kind of deal. Like it ticked it and moved up. And I don't trade Bitcoin a lot, especially the micro futures. There's not a ton of liquidity on them yet, so the price can jump around. And what happened was when I kind of checked this at home, I was just on my phone, and my chart was on the 5 minute chart. And basically, what I got was this, where price touched it and like rocketed up really quick. And I already had kind of 2/3 of my profits there. So I brought my stop up to under here. But if you look at this on the hourly, like that wasn't really yet like a very significant move. It was basically this candle right here. I mean, okay, I guess maybe to bring my stop up. And then price chopped around for a little while, maybe an hour, a couple hours or so, and then probed down a little bit lower, and then wham, right to my target. So those were two trades that, again, because I think I was just feeling a little bit cautious and timid, and I had, of course, the hope of my losses from the day getting somewhat mitigated with these trades. I also had the fear that my losing day would become an even bigger losing day. And because I was already feeling kind of shitty about the day, that was something that I wasn't really willing to let happen. And so because I was trading based on those emotions, right? I was trading based on the fear of I don't want my losing day to become a bigger losing day. I brought my stops up really aggressively and missed out on profit opportunities. So that's why it's so important to not trade based on emotion. But I just wanted to point that out, talk about it a little bit because, I'm not a perfect trader either. I'm still, relatively novice. I think I trade pretty well and I like to help people learn, but, I still make mistakes too. And, we got to be able to learn from those mistakes. But anyhow, let's jump back over to the S&Ps like we look at pretty much every day. This is that little trade. You can see it beautiful, like worked out actually perfectly. Should have just held it. But anyhow, so here we are, right? Lots of chopping around here. We've got this little range here. Now, I did put on a swing. I mentioned the past several days, these levels in here from this consolidation, right? And you see we came down and touched it. I put on a swing there. I have another order. If we do come down lower, I'll enter more of my stops underneath all of this. So I've got plenty of room. It's a kind of a half size position, so I can definitely add more to the position there. But I did enter a swing right off those levels. So we'll see how that plays out today. My target on that, let's see, I think it's on my micro chart. Oh, yeah. So depending on where we open, I put this on with, actually, this is not where I got my entry. So my target's going to be a little bit higher. My entry is somewhere like this. Okay. So depending how we do today, my target's going to be way up there because of where my entry location is. My ideal entry location is a little bit more down here, but there was a volume level right here as well. So that's why I took that. Anyhow, okay. Let's take a look. Now, yesterday, obviously, we had that grind down, which is kind of typical. I've talked about this before, very typical of days where the Fed is speaking. So Powell was speaking at 1:30 Eastern yesterday, and we tend to, I think just because volume drops off sort of leading up to that, and we just get these like bleeders, right? We just sort of bleed out and then look at, right here, right? That's 1 o'clock. We started to find some support at that support level. And then we really, here, the sort of 1:30, 2 o'clock, we really got some momentum. That's why that candle's teal. We really got some more aggressive buying and pushed us right on up. So we'll see if this holds or if we dip down lower. If we dip down lower, like I said, I'm just going to add to my positions. But that's got to be part of your trading plan, right? So I sized accordingly so that I can handle the added risk of adding more to the position, okay? So you got to sort of go into it with that plan from the get-go. As far as the hourly chart goes, there's nothing else I'm really like super duper interested in here. If we just pull up our profile of this sort of whole thing, there's nothing. Like this is where we stalled. This was the point of control for the day right there as well. So that's kind of where we stalled out. We kind of came up and touched it right at the end of the day at the close and then pushed down. This was that trade that I took. Then we came back up, touched it again, and then pushed down. This would have been a decent trade opportunity as well, what it would have looked like because you've got this consolidation here. So off of this high volume, and I didn't put it on because this looked like it tested it already to me, but off this high volume, you basically give it something like that, and that could have worked out really. You could have got 1 to whatever, I just go 1 to 1, and that would have worked out fine. Okay, so there's not really much else, right? From this big push up, again, it was a pretty quick move, so not a lot of leftover stuff. There's this bit of volume right here. This level here at 44.2950 is kind of the only major area that is interesting. And the problem with this area, the reason I don't like it as far as a trade goes, is that the low of the move, I need to zoom in on this a little bit here. Let's go to 5 minute. Okay. The low of this move comes all the way down to here, all the way into this other auction. And if the price does want to come down into that range, it could get sucked into here and end up testing off of these volumes right here, right? And so when we get this this area, right, this sort of demand area that blends into another demand area, that is to me a high risk trade, That's a high risk trade. Now you could try and go with something like under these lows here, but I think that's a little sketch to me. And this does almost look like it got tested, this area here. So I won't be trading off this level. It's just a level that I'm going to maintain an awareness of for support. And if you want to go to a lower time frame and look for reversals, that's fine. But I'm not going to take any sort of blind trades off this level. Same thing with down here. Again, this looks really tested. We came down, right above it and then moved up. So I think if we start to get down here, there is a possibility that from this larger auction, right here, let's pull this over. All right, let's zoom in on this. You can see, so we've got this little bump of volume right here, right? That's where I have sort of one line drawn off of. We've got this bump of volume here. That's where I took the trade off of yesterday. And then you've got this bump of volume. This is the main point of control, right? The highest volumes for the area. So price could come down and test and then react to any one of those levels. So when we're talking about these levels here, I'm going to be taking these in the context of this entire large auction. I'm not going to be doing any like scalping off of these levels, because the stop for this whole auction is underneath this area here where this purple line is the low volume node. You can see it lines right up with the bottom of this channel because that's where liquidity dried up. There was nobody else willing to sell down here, right? So the buyers had to auction higher to find people willing to sell. That's what's going on there. All right. So that's sort of where we are now. I think we just have to kind of wait and see, as always, what the market does, because, when we're chopping around, the market's just been so choppy lately. It just doesn't leave us with a lot to work with. Tons of levels here on the NASDAQ that kind of played out overnight. You see some levels up here that I had remaining on the chart. These all sort of worked out. Some levels down here. So these I'm going to go ahead and kind of remove because these are based off of sort of older price action at this point. I think they are done with. We still have a level up here at 15,075 that I think is interesting. Right there. Not a tremendous amount of volume because, again, it's overnight volume. And then this other little one up here, again, not a tremendous amount of volume. So I'm not like super enthusiastic about that. Another little one up here. These are all just little tiny resistance levels that we just want to be aware of. So, just kind of watching those things. But again, if we just look at the bigger picture NASDAQ, not many little clues as to what we might want to look for today. We've got, again, volumes in here. These got tested in the overnight, moved up, so nothing really that I care about in there. So I think we're just going to let the market open, let price action develop, and go from there. Let's take a look at gold. What's gold up to these days? It's been grinding higher. I had a swing on in gold that I got stopped out on. Took a short off of this area because there was some consolidation here that got blown right through, and I was looking for price to at least kind of react, and we got a little bit of reaction, but not enough to get profit off of. So I took a stop on that one, and just kind of looking at this again as a bigger sort of auction. Here, let's redo this. So we have two ways to look at this. We can look at this from like a really big picture standpoint of this sort of whole consolidation here, right? And we can see from that standpoint, this is our significant level. Or we can narrow it down and just look at this tighter consolidation. Oops. This tighter consolidation here. And then we've got this level right there. Okay. So either of those levels could be levels that we might find some significant resistance, and just some stuff to be aware of on gold. Okay. So I'm going to sign off. You can always join us at dpmtrades.com. Just click on community. You can join our Discord room for free, and be happy to have you there. Otherwise, I'll check in with you guys tomorrow for our pre-market analysis.